You're excited about the fifth one.
The seventh one?
They made 7 of them?
Not yet. The
I'm
seventh one hasn't come out yet.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
You're like, I know, and we still have to find out if it's his father or not.
I just want Luke and Leia to get together, to be honest.
Oh God, you really didn't see the sixth one. Welcome to the Crooked Tail Podcast. This is Rob.
This is Freddy.
He usually doesn't say his name that weird. In this episode, we'll be reviewing Fast and Furious 7, Fast 7, whatever you want to call it these days. Furious 7 Tokyo Drift 7? I don't know.
Tokyo Drift Part 2?
It sort of is a little bit. Actually, we'll get to that.
Except it's not in Tokyo.
Well, but it picks. Okay, whatever.
And there's not as much drifting as Tokyo.
Well, yeah.
There is spoilers because we're going to talk about.
Well, not now, not yet. We're
okay.
going to do a review of Fast and Furious 7, as well as the new Marvel Daredevil series on Netflix. So, Freddy, what's going on with you and your headphones over there?
Well, not much, Rob. I've recently become sick, and now I'm feeling better.
Fascinating.
Even more recently.
Tell us more about your germs.
Well, they are doing quite terrible right now, my germs.
They always shoot well.
And I'm also very frustrated because we had technical difficulties with the microphone.
Yeah. For those of you that have heard, more than one episode of this podcast, I've regularly said that it's a work in progress, and we're sort of learning as we go along. Yeah, that's still the case. We're still working on it.
Well, we got set back. We're down to the one microphone again.
That's true. We're back down to one microphone. I don't know. We have to organize our audio setup. Anyone that knows how to set up a podcast and wants to help us out, so please send me a tweet at Crooked Table.
At least in my headphones, it's picking up.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm hearing every shake of the table.
Really?
In my head. Well, I mean, I don't know if you can hear it on there, but I hear it in my headphones.
Okay, now I have to remember to edit this part out at like 5 minutes in. Edit, and Rob, when you listen to this, edit this part out.
And for God's sakes,
put down that gun. It's not worth it. Dark humor. So yeah, not a whole lot's been going on with me since last time. Watching stuff, trying to catch up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I saw Foxcatcher, kind of slow, not into it.
Is it about foxes?
No, it's not. It's about wrestling.
Is that the reason you saw it? Because
my nickname is Robert Fox.
Yes.
Yeah, no. This is one fox I'm kind of glad I didn't catch.
This is one fox I'm glad I didn't catch.
Why did you make it sound that way?
I thought it sounded better in that voice. I don't know.
So, Furious 7, are we just going to launch into it?
Yeah, let's just go into Furious 7.
Alright, Furious 7. So, Fast and Furious 7 by director James Wan picks up where, as you would expect, where we left off with Fast and Furious 6.
This is his first one.
James Wan directed one?
This is the first one that he did, right?
Yeah. Justin Lin did 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
And then I think they wanted to push 7 into production really quickly. And Justin Lin was like, well, hey, I got a life, man. I can't jump right into that. Basically, they have to start pre-production on 7, like right after 6 was done. And he didn't roll that way. So James Wan, who's best known as director of Saw, Insidious, and its sequel, and The Conjuring, came on board. He's proven himself a really solid horror director. So this was his first action film.
Oh.
And rumor has it that DC now is after him for the Aquaman movie, so we don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But how did you feel about? We should also go ahead and say that this will be spoilers. I mean, considering how much money this movie's made at this point, you've probably already seen it. So,
it's kind of a belated review.
Yeah, exactly. So, as far as James Wan's directorial action debut, how do you feel the action came across in this one?
I thought it was. I thought it was. I thought it was a really good.
There's that cold he was talking
Yeah,
about.
there's the code.
Damn you, germs!
Yeah, damn you. I thought he did a really good job with this film. Because it had a lot of the outrageous action sequences. And I thought it was shot really well, and I thought it was also taking the Paul Walker, his death also respectfully to the film.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, treating it respectfully, and giving him a good send off.
What did you think about how the seventh one picked up from six? Like with the Jason Statham reveal and the post credit scene.
Well, I didn't like that they killed Han.
Well, I mean, we knew that from like Tokyo Drift, basically.
I was hoping he was still alive.
I mean, but you know how this franchise is. They could come around the next movie and be like, what? He crawled out the back of the car. No, he didn't.
I was hoping that's what they were going to throw at us in this.
Yeah, they didn't do a post credits scene because that would have been weird to be like that really heartfelt Paul Walker tribute ending for Paul, and then some people don't die. That would have been tacky.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they have any plans to bring Han back as far as I've heard.
Well, plus they also just did that with Letty.
That's true.
So they don't want to have.
Even Mindy's comes in with another folder, be like, "You're not gonna believe this shit." They just can't kill these people
because of the Rock's office. Look who the fuck's back! Another one of their crew. Cats are invincible. And then the next one will be that Spanish girl that was like.
Well, she's gonna play Wonder Woman now.
Spanish?
She's actually Israeli, I think.
Israeli?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But she does look Hispanic. I know. I thought that too. No, she's playing Wonder Woman. She ain't got time for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Now.
No, she doesn't have time for it.
I agree with you. The action was really intense, and of course more over the top than ever. I have to say that the cars coming off the plane was probably one of the highlights as far as the action set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
That was just ridiculous. Every time, as it went on, I was like, no, really, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, and I like also the Roman humor.
Sometimes I feel like they go a little too far with it, where some of it was just ridiculously cheesy. And even though the movie kind of revels in its cheesiness, I feel like some of his lines were just like really cringe-inducing.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's how it is.
I know, but he's like, oh, I'm black Arab, Arab. I was like, what the fuck? Black Arab. You don't listen to his lines. You're like, oh, I like it. He made a joke about being a black Arab, Arab, that he said, and I was like, that's really stupid.
Oh, I think my mind just.
You wandered. You were like, I was
like, I'm gonna ignore that.
Yeah, you should. Well played.
That little snippet of dialogue.
Yeah, his character is so one note. I mean, he just shows up in every scene being like, well, I can't believe this. You did this, then we did a tank, and now this shit. Almost like he wants to turn into the audience and be like, can y'all believe this shit? Where are we gonna go next?
You see what these motherfuckers having me do out here?
He's like, I'm supposed to be a rapper. Oh my god, you remember his rapper?
Yeah, no.
His rapping foray?
Yeah, no.
Doing his rap shit for years, blood, sweat, and tears, no fears.
Yeah.
That was depressing.
Yeah.
And I was a fan of Tyrese's music career back in the day, and he's a likable guy on screen. I just feel like this character has like become so flat and like almost distracting. Like actually, he's probably of the main people, he might be my least favorite.
I like him. He comes in with the quips.
I like Luda. Luda plays off of him well.
Yeah, I know. That's what they play off of each other well. Like how he didn't want to get out of the airplane. And he was like, "Oh, I'm making sure you're getting out of the."
Yeah, that was good. The Ludacris Tyrese interplay is the best part of the Tyrese character for sure.
Yeah, and then they were fighting over Ramsey and stuff.
She was pretty nice looking.
Yeah, she's from Game of Thrones.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
Well, that's how I knew her.
Everybody else, I'm sure, is like, yeah, Rob, what the hell?
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, where you been?
I just came back too.
I just finished watching Glee, man. Give me a chance to adjust.
You got a little catching up. I mean, there's only like there's not that many episodes per season, so it's very easy.
They just started 5 or 6. Game of Thrones 5, right? 5. Yeah. So back to the Furious 7. So this is what happens. We go on tangents, I tell you. So I thought the Jason Statham was sort of underused here. like I thought it was awesome to see him there, but I would have liked a lot more Jason Statham. I feel like he just sort of popped up and like, guess what, still around, and then drove past, and you were like, but come back, you're more interesting than this other thing.
I think they just had a lot of stuff to focus on.
They did, I guess. But
because they had different, they had a lot of stuff going on. They had the Diamond Hansu character. They had him. They had a lot of bad guys.
I feel like they had a little too much going on. But to the movie's credit, the plot in here is even more ridiculous and inconsequential than the Guardians of the Galaxy plot.
No, it was not.
It sort of was.
How was it? Because that
one. I didn't really. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really care about any of the Diamond Hansu stuff. I was just like, okay, he's there, whatever. Big explosion, cool. There we go.
Yeah, I know, but what about Guardians? It's in a galaxy.
I just wanted to give you shit about Guardians of the Galaxy. Because the plot of that movie, we taled about that like several times.
I don't think it's a little.
I know.
We're not gonna get into this.
No, I just like to mess with you about it.
All right, but there was a lot going on in this film because they had the Diamond Hansu guy, they had the guy from the.
He should have shown up and just been like somebody talking about Deckard Shaw, and Diamond Hansu goes, who? That's what they should have done. That would have been the Guardian crossover. Give him that little gray funny beard and the contacts again.
Yeah. They had the Tony Jaa character.
He was awesome. Tony Jaa is cool.
And then they had the Shaw guy. They had just a lot of
Kurt Russell. What?
And they had the Kurt Russell whole thing.
Getting the stuntman Mike on a little bit.
So they had a lot of different characters to play off of each other. So it was a little bit all over the place, but I mean, but you kind of expect it though from these movies.
Well, that's what I mean. The plot is the focus is not the plot. The focus is badass characters, cool one-liners, fun action scenes. And it's like I've said multiple times, this series is basically like the new Expendables. Because you already have Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson, and Jason Statham in a movie together. And then with cameos from people like Ronda Rousey and Tony Jaa and that kind of thing. They're like a Schwarzenegger away from just being Expendables, basically.
I don't know.
Which is not bad. Actually, I feel like the Fast and Furious movies are like what the Expendables should be, because the Expendables movie, the last one was boring as shit.
Yeah.
The last one was very weak, even though they had crazy Mel Gibson as the villain.
Yeah, that's true. So, I don't know. Maybe that's what they're.
I keep trying to think of who are they going to bring in next now that they have. They have Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson probably almost certainly coming back, and then Jason Statham may be coming back as well. So I wonder who else would they even get to up the ante, as it were.
They can bring Eva Mendes back.
That's what I've heard. That's the rumor. That they might bring her back.
They can bring that guy from Tokyo Drift back.
Yeah,
Bow Wow maybe.
That was weird, that scene, because he did look visibly older from one scene to the next. Because they showed that part from Tokyo Drift, and the next scene he's like, "Yeah, it's been a rough 10 minutes. I aged 10 years." But let's talk about my friend Han. What happened? I know you like Tokyo Drift. I really did not care much for Tokyo Drift. And I definitely didn't like that dude. He was ruining the movie.
It was entertaining. I didn't say
there were some scenes that were alright. Honestly, the best part of that movie is Han.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I'm glad they took the one element of Tokyo Drift that worked and put him in the next.
Another thing that's interesting about the Han character is that's really Justin Lin?
That's his boy.
That's his boy. It's from his own movie.
Which is probably why Justin Lin's like, I'm dead. I'm not going back. Nothing for me to do now.
Yeah, it's from his own films from way before Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, Better Luck Tomorrow. He played a character called Han in that too.
Yeah, and they replaced his thing with smoking with gum.
Yeah. I read about that too.
Yeah. So, I mean, they brought him in. It's funny that when Han leaves, Justin Lin is leaving too.
It's unclear exactly what they're doing for 8. Like if they're gonna try and bring Justin Lin back, James Wan is very in demand now too. So
yeah. Do you know if Chris Morgan wrote this one too? Though?
I think so.
Yeah, because he's written pretty much all of them, right?
Yeah, at least the last couple, I think.
Yeah, because he's like the Quip Master.
Oh, so it's his fault, that Blair of line that I hate so much.
Well, yeah.
Damn it, Chris Morgan.
I didn't, but he's also responsible for
Yeah, he did.
Sandwich Crazy and stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
So, and I like how they mentioned that in the last one too, about how the sandwiches were terrible, and because she used to make the sandwiches for him.
Right.
Yeah. But did you see anything about like the CGI of Paul Walker that they did
in the movie? Like, did I see anything where like I noticed stuff?
Yeah.
There's a couple of scenes where were like really fast, where his face looked like it was sort of off, or like in the action scenes, like especially later in the movie, there was that one part where him and Tony Jaa were fighting in that stairwell type deal, and they were like falling down, and like it was all like dark and from behind Paul Walker's back, to the point where I sort of surmised and like, okay, this must have been one that they shot with body doubles and stuff. Because usually in an action scene like that, you would do cut to a close up of like, this is Brian and he's in danger and this shit's about to go down, but instead a lot of it was like back of the head, like shadows and stuff like that. So I some of that I felt like was a little suspect as far as that. But I mean, and clearly they did something to manipulate the ending, because obviously that was not going to end that way before.
Yeah.
So I wonder where they got that footage of him and Jordana Brewster on the beach with the kid. If some of that was body double, or if some of that was shot for another movie, or maybe it was intended to be used for the opening of Furious 7, like Brian living his new life, and then they sort of restructured it a little for this movie.
Yeah,
the ending.
I felt like when they were having their conversation before they even went to confront Shaw, that Jordana Brewster's like, this has to be your last one and all this stuff. I feel like they added that scene.
Yeah, the stuff about, he said what he misses most is the bullets, so they made like this whole little storyline for Brian about this at the end of the line.
And how it's going to be another kid, and how he really needs to settle down.
Yeah.
So they kind of, I feel like they kind of tweaked it that way.
Plus, you notice a lot of those conversations with the bullets and with what Brian's future, all those conversations, like you were saying, happened with Jordana Brewster, not with Paul Walker. Like think about it, like the whole Brian storyline about that angle. Paul Walker is not in any of the scenes, nor does he really make any mention of that storyline.
Yeah, it's all between
Dom and Mia.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they just shot those scenes,
around
that to create a new situation
to sort of round out
for Paul
story,
Walker's character. Try and get it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I mean, considering the fact, like if we didn't know that had happened, I don't think we would have noticed any of that. I think we'd be like, it was a good movie. I don't think we would have felt like. I was even listening to another podcast, and they were saying like, if you told me before I watched this movie that someone, like didn't get to finish it, I would say The Rock. And I was like, yeah, because I made a reference in my review on crookedtable.com, my 4-star review out of 5.
What was it?
crookedtable.com. That the Rock was really underused in this movie, and I read online also that he only shot for 10 days, and you can tell, because it's like, all right, so a few of those days were probably the fight with Jason Statham, and a few of those days were like him with the minigun doing the, and then like a day for that scene at the end where he's locking Jason Statham up, and then a scene, a day for that scene with Vin Diesel in the hospital, and like another day for the Daddy's Gotta Go to Work, that thing, or even combining some of them. So it's pretty clear to see there was not that much of The Rock in it, which is unfortunate, because honestly I feel like he's one of the best parts of this movie.
Yeah. Now, I was upset to see that they took him out of the film really early.
Yeah, but holy shit, that scene with him and Jason Statham, that was the bomb. Where he's like comes in and Jason Statham's on his computer and he's like, I'm not quite finished yet. And then they have that massive throw down through walls, I think, and shit again.
Yeah,
it's like that's sort of took me back to the Vin Diesel Dwayne Johnson fight from Fast 5 a little bit. Like,
yeah, I mean he totally would have won though if he didn't have if that girl wasn't there.
Yeah,
and he didn't have to jump out the window to save her.
Yeah,
I mean he would have won.
And the ironic thing is that in the movie Hobbs probably would have won, but in real life Jason Statham would have Rock does.
I don't know. He's a big guy.
But Jason Statham has the moves for real.
Yeah, that's true.
Jason Statham, I'm pretty sure, really does have like a black belt or some shit.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he also knows how to drive stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, they should have had him play like the transporter. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, they have a new transporter coming out.
I know, but not with him.
No, yeah, no, different.
Doesn't count. Next. That's like being like, they have a new Rambo. Oh, cool. I didn't know someone was doing that. No, not with someone. Oh, what the fuck is the point? Why do that then?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Rambo's son.
Exactly. Rambo Jr.
But I was looking on this thing online, and I saw that some of the scenes that have Brian, Paul Walker's character, a CGI version of him.
Oh, really?
And it looked pretty realistic.
I feel like that shot at the end in the car. It's like looking over at Dom with a smile. That would feel CGI to me. Like it looked weird.
Yeah, it looked a little weird.
But that scene where he's like, and then they're driving, and then it tapers off, and he sort of like drives into like the light type deal.
Yeah.
Like obviously, implying heaven, that kind of thing, like passing on. Mm-hmm. That was really well done and really, really emotional. My wife and I both were like sort of touched by that. And for a Fast and Furious movie to go from like crazy, insane action to making you basically tear up, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, indeed. And also, do you know how they did the Paul Walker stuff with the brothers?
Yeah, with his brothers. Yeah.
They used the same CGI that they used for like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and stuff.
Oh, motion capture?
Yeah, they used motion capture.
And then put his face on.
Put his face. Used old clips of him to kind of like do. So it was very interesting how they were.
Yeah, they did an excellent job with it for sure.
Yeah. All right, so I think that's all we did. Go.
Yeah, I mean, the story was interesting too. I mean, the thing with Letty finally getting her memory back was very melodramatic, but those two, yeah, that was a good twist actually. But those two have really good chemistry on screen, and Michelle Rodriguez is actually, like, you forget that she's actually a good actress sometimes in these movies because you don't really have to be a best actor to be in a Fast and Furious movie because it's just like, kind of stern looks and explosions and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, she really sells some of the more emotional moments, I thought too.
Definitely.
So.
All right. Next one we're gonna be covering is Daredevil. We watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, that was hard to shut it off, man. I was getting into it.
Yeah, we wish we could review the whole season, but
I'm sure we might not make it a centerpiece of the podcast, like a Daredevil discussion, but I'm sure we'll mention it again as we watch more next time we do one of these or whatever. But what were your initial impressions of it from right off the bat?
I thought the cinematography was really good. Yeah. I thought it was very well shot, and I thought it had a very artistic feel to it, to describe what the character feels without saying how the character feels.
Right.
Through the use of sound or
visual
cinematography. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my favorite, I was telling you while we were watching it, was the hallway scene in the second one.
I've been seeing online. That a lot of people are talking about this long, really cool one take fight. I'm pretty sure that was it because I didn't read any of the articles about it because I was trying to remain spoiler free until after we watched the show, at least the first few episodes, something.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. And if so, I can see why because that was really impressive. And I've read that the show took a lot of inspiration from the Raid and that kind of fighting style, and you could see a lot of that there.
Yeah, it's all one take.
Fighting in and out of rooms and like really, really elegant use of lighting and like sound and yeah, it's interesting too because the show is hitting a lot of similar plot points to the movie, the 2003 Ben Affleck movie, but it's actually doing them much better, much more subtle, much more like.
Well, it's following the comics.
Well, yeah, but so I mean, but it's a lot of similarities. You still see him get into his accident. You still see his fighting his father's body. You still see a lot of, him fighting crime on the rooftop and all that kind of stuff. So, but they're handling it like so much better and more grounded, more emotionally driven, and more character focused, as opposed to having voiceover do the whole thing for you like the movie does.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I'm actually a quasi defender of the movie, especially the director's cut, I would by no means say it's like amazing like, cinematic achievement. But this show so far seems like they're really approaching it sort of in the Dark Knight trilogy sort of tone.
The Daredevil movie is definitely entertaining, but as far as taking it as an art form, mm, I think the show did a lot better
Right.
of a job, and the action sequences are a lot better because it's like true stunt work.
Yeah.
It's not just
There's
CGI
and CG. And I don't know.
and stuff.
I don't know if you've seen Daredevil recently, the movie, but the CG does not hold up well at all. Like it looks really bad.
Yeah, exactly. And there's all like these weird athletic flips that they did in the movie that didn't.
Well, he jumps up like 20 feet and sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. In the movie, it's very
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
unrealistic of the character.
Right.
It's like why? Like, how did you do that? You could tell he was obviously on, a rig.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or CG'd completely the whole jump.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like that's almost more of
So I think the show takes the fighting style of Daredevil very, very well, and without it going into um like the whole CGI, oh, I'm listening to your heartbeat. Let me show your heartbeat pulsing.
Yeah,
it just does the sound.
They did a good job of sort of conveying that. Plus, like I said while we were watching it, the show also has to work with a more controlled budget. They don't have like the 300 million or whatever it costs to make Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Which, holy crap, coming up soon. I'm excited.
Uh-huh.
But you can tell that they really make the most of the money and use that as an opportunity to be more creative with it. I mean, I'm sure they had a very substantial budget, but it's also like they don't have all the CG budget in the world, so that kind of forces them to be more creative and more resourceful about how they convey things too.
I'm sure they're saving a lot of the budget for like the last episode.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Because that's when you really, I think that's right when he really starts getting to be Daredevil.
The red suit.
Yeah. And he might have a fight with Fisk. We don't know.
Yeah, we haven't even met him yet.
So I feel like they're going to be saving it for a little bit later, toward the end of the season.
That's another thing that the show has been doing really well too. I mean, first of all, the supporting characters we should mention. I did not get the actress name, but the lady playing Karen Page was really interesting, really spot on. Yeah. And then Eldon Henson playing Foggy Nelson.
Yeah.
He's actually, I think he's a scene stealer already.
Yeah, he's a good comic relief.
And he has that perfect balance between being fast talking and like a sort of to keep things light, but then also getting real and serious when he has to.
Mm-hmm. Joss Whedon would love him.
Yeah, Joss Whedon would love him. Too bad Joss Whedon is sort of done with Marvel for a while.
Why?
Well, because the Russo brothers who did Captain America: The Winter Soldier, they're doing Avengers: Infinity War Part 1 and 2. So Joss Whedon, for all intents and purposes, is sort of stepping away from Marvel for a bit after Avengers: Age of Ultron. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he comes back and does a movie here and there. But
why can't he do it with the Russo brothers or write it?
I think he wants a break because he's been doing Marvel stuff for 3 years. Since over 3 years.
But he loves Marvel.
I know, but it's also like it's an all-consuming job.
And he loves comic books.
He does, but it's an all-consuming job, you know.
I mean, look at all his works of art; they're all pretty much comic booky.
They are very comic booky, but I think he wants to go create another project of his own. He doesn't want to constantly be beholden to the Marvel machine.
He did Cabin in the Woods.
He did. He co-wrote it.
Yeah, and he did Much Ado About Nothing.
You know what I mean? I know, but it's not to say that he'll never come back. I'm sure he'll come. Oh, and you know it's funny actually, stepping away from the Daredevil conversation for a second. But remember how he was in line to do Wonder Woman 600 million years ago?
Yeah.
Well, the lady that was Michelle McLaren, who's done directed episodes of Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, 2 shows that you love.
Mm-hmm.
She has left the Wonder Woman project due to creative differences or something. So that would be hilarious if Joss Whedon jumps over there. That's interesting timing, actually.
To have him go over to
DC and do some Wonder Woman action. I mean, I'm sure they would want him to write it and stuff too. I don't know where they are in script from development of that. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. Anyway,
Then he'll be making like the
well,
Marvel.
well, but I mean,
like he
it's
could
also
have had
like,
me. Now I'm going over to the
well,
DC.
but DC could have had him back in the day, but they never got that movie going, and then Marvel swiped him up and made him like an A-list director, an A-list movie director.
Yeah.
And from everything I've heard, Age of Ultron is going to be freaking amazing.
I've seen the latest trailer. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. I haven't been watching all the clips and stuff that they've been leaking because I don't want to see the whole movie before I see it.
Yeah.
So I've been just watching the trailers and that's it. But yeah, that's gonna be amazing. Anyway,
yeah, it looks really, really good. And they just had Ultron in the cartoon, Avengers Assemble.
Oh, nice.
So they were like fighting him.
Synergy. They're lining that up for when the movie comes out.
Well, they just fought Thanos, and then I don't know, Ultron took the power of it or something like that. And now they're fighting Ultron.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Anyway, back to Daredevil. So, but they're doing a good job of surrounding him with interesting side characters, but also holding back a lot of stuff. Like, on any other show would have had Kingpin like in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Kingpin would have been there.
The fact that they put some mystery behind the character before you even see him.
Exactly. They haven't mentioned his name or anything. They haven't mentioned Wilson Fisk. They haven't mentioned Kingpin.
I think
you haven't seen any. You haven't even seen his cane.
I think that's also an artistic step as well to show that how much he's trying to seclude himself from any proof that he's the one behind it.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
one of his enforcers, I guess, was like, we don't even say his name, that kind of thing. I thought that was an interesting
exactly.
Ooh, snap.
So how it just proves how much mystery is behind the character, and how much he doesn't want anyone to know that he's in he wants
taking over Hell's Kitchen.
Of Hell's Kitchen, taking over the chaos that happened from the thing in New York from Avengers 1. So,
I thought that was a good tie-in too.
Yeah, it was a great tie-in.
And it makes a lot of sense because in real life, if something like that had happened, of course people would be like, how do we exploit this?
Yeah, exactly.
And it connects things in a really plausible but also subtle, not like beating people over the head. Look, there's holes everywhere because the Avengers just fought here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of adjacent to all that, but not like right in the thick of it. So that this show could still be its own thing instead of people being like, so when is Iron Man gonna show up? You know?
Yeah, it just shows like, ever since people
the
raining of people raining from the sky.
Yeah.
I mean that pretty much clears everything up.
Right. You don't have to be
if you know.
I saw Captain America once. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. Oh, and another thing, when that I looked up, when Rosario Dawson was saying that, I'll just call you Mike.
Mm-hmm.
That's apparently his middle name.
Oh, it's really Mike Murdoch?
Michael
Murdoch?
Yeah, Matthew Michael Murdoch.
Triple M's.
Yeah, so his alias is Michael Murdoch. But he goes
okay. I'm gonna be really tempted to read the Easter egg articles, but I'm gonna try and hold off until we finish because that way I won't ruin anything.
So I thought that was really interesting that was his middle name and that's the one that she chooses to pick.
That's funny.
So yeah, and I was reading up on the character a little bit. It's very true to it's very true to the character of how with the names and everything. That Sweeney guy and.
I figured. I had a feeling that every time they said a name, that was a name more or less from the comic.
Yeah, apparently, the Sweeney guy was like Fixer, or Sweeney was the one who wanted him to throw the fight, and they mentioned the name and everything, and that's the person that got behind killing him. So I wonder if they're gonna get to that, and maybe he's gonna reap a little vengeance on Sweeney, or he's gonna come back. I don't.
Quite possible. It's also interesting too that Jack Murdoch, his father, was the person he defeated in the ring in that climactic boxing match. It was Carl Creel, who I'm pretty sure was on a couple of episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That character.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. You need to watch Agents of Shield, but you don't listen. It's I told you it's all about it's getting all inhuman up in here and everything. So it's been really good. I'm a few episodes behind still, but that show's been really impressive too. Anyway, no, Daredevil. We'll try and keep it as focused as possible today. But I feel like this was also really a strong title for Marvel to open with because of this like second string characters that they have in the pipeline. Daredevil is probably one of the better known ones, and also has that darker tone that would be more suited to something like Netflix rather than trying to mash it right together with the Avengers universe right off the bat. Plus, not to mention the fact that by day he's a lawyer, so the show already sort of lends itself to like like a law procedural slash superhero crime.
Well, also, it's also one of the. I feel like it's the one out of between like Luke Cage and Iron Fist and well,
Jessica Jones.
well maybe not Jessica Jones, but that's also one of the ones that they can make on a budget too. Like
Yeah.
they can make cheap. I mean, Luke Cage, like, he has the super strength and he can move stuff. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it depends. Don't have
Fist,
him like move something too big, and you should be alright.
what is he gonna lift like a sofa?
I don't know.
You could go get the moving guy down the street. It has to be like a truck or something like that.
Right.
It has to be big size stunt work.
Yeah, but they did that on Lois and Clark back in the '90s. They did that on Smallville.
Yeah, I know, but compared to the budget of basic
stuff, I don't know. I feel like Netflix has a good amount of money.
Most of it's camera tricks.
Yeah.
Like the thing with the heartbeat and everything. All they do is they put the sound of the
blur
heartbeat
it a little bit,
and they shit.
And you broke your phone.
No. and all they do is they just do some camera work to make it seem like like the person's distorted. It's all camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound effects laid over it.
Yeah, and there's sound effects laid over it. So it's no real budget as much as we've seen put into it yet. And Iron Fist, he has like incredible I mean a lot of it's stunt work, but he also has incredible fist strength as well as Iron Fist. His fists are supposed to glow. And,
right.
I mean, those are characters that won't cost much, but Daredevil, he's mainly just like he's purely agility.
Yeah, and these are characters that would also serve them down the line, perhaps in Infinity War if they want to bring all these characters in there at some point. Because the way I imagine it is that Infinity War is going to be a planetary threat basically on everybody, and since it's two parts, that's their chance to bring in all the people that have been in the movies, the Netflix shows, the Agents of Shield, and all that shit, Guardians of the Galaxy, and combine everybody and have them all play a role, even if it's a smaller role. Have them at least be a part of it, or even in the Civil War.
Well, not even a planetary.
Intergalactic, I guess. Yeah, that's true.
Because if they take over...
Well, Age of Ultron is technically going to be a planetary threat, I guess.
Yeah, planetary threat, and then you go into the intergalactic threat.
That's true, because the first one was like the aliens attacking New York, which is a city, and then this one's going to be Earth, and then it's going to be the universe.
The whole universe.
That's crazy.
Taking it from one scale up and up and up.
What are they going to do after Infinity War? Because obviously they're going to keep making Avengers movies, so I wonder if they're going to be like... They're going to have to scale it back again and like reset a little bit.
Yeah,
because
probably.
Holy crap, because that's going to be the end of an era for these movies, because they've been building since Avengers 1. Those movies are building towards Avengers 1, which is building towards Infinity War.
Yeah, so I mean they'll have to start with a whole other thing. Eventually it'll go into another big battle like Infinity War, of course, and it'll just start up. Just start up right again.
Yeah.
But
it's like each phase is its own thing and building to its own like turning point. But then it's like this is gonna be a 3-phase mega phase.
Yeah, I mean this is like a kind of like a tsunami. It starts out as like a small like a miniature wave.
Yeah.
And then it slowly builds into this dynamic Gigantic. I'm tired.
Dynamic.
Gigantic, tsunami, and that's when Infinity, and then it crusts over, and then it goes into the ripples again,
Right.
and until you get the tsunami again. So I think that's what they're gonna do once the Infinity thing is done, then they have to go back into the tidal wave.
Yeah.
And build it up all over again, and find that new threat. But
I wonder what part Daredevil. I can't imagine them not bringing Daredevil into the movie. At some point.
I don't know if they'll bring it for the Infinity Wars.
Well, somewhere. I mean, he could show up for 2 seconds, or he would be better suited for Civil War, but that's happening like next year, so I don't know. And that's one movie, and they already has a lot going on. So I wonder if they'd be able to squeeze him in there. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean,
because he's like the only one that really has a secret identity so far.
Yeah.
And so Spider-Man. Yeah, and so have you heard the updates on that? The Marvel has confirmed that it will be Peter Parker, not Miles Morales or another version of Spider-Man. He will be in high school, and they've confirmed. Crap, what was the other thing they confirmed?
Garfield won't be.
No, well, yeah, we knew that. Yeah, so we have a better idea. I forgot now. Oh, and they confirmed that it won't be an origin story. Okay. They're gonna jump in, and he's already been Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, good.
So that means we don't have to watch the great power comes great responsibility. That's what my Uncle Ben said. He's like, yeah, we know.
For a third time.
Because I mean, at this point, Spider-Man's origin has become as ubiquitous as Batman and Superman. It's like we know Superman came from a planet, it's gone now, and here. Batman's parents got shot, now he wants to fight back. We get it. Skip ahead to the main story.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. But yeah, and it's weird because you get sucked into Daredevil like right off the bat, and you don't really get action for like a nice chunk of the way. I'd say at least maybe like halfway through the first episode, you get that fight down by the docks or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like the action is starting off as very sparse, but it's like you don't mind because all of the like mystery crime stuff is just as interesting, if not more so.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to build on the characters.
Yeah, of course,
and not just shove action down your throat. And that's the good thing about, you tell that they're taking their steps very carefully.
Right.
And that's just being like, here, there's an action sequence.
Well, I mean, they could have also. I'm also impressed with the fact that they're not throwing Elektra in there in the first season, because you know that obviously they want to get to her because she's a key character. So I wouldn't be surprised if in season 2 she definitely shows up, or at some point if they might want to. Her story is successful, they spin her off into her own show. Because she has led her own comic books before, even though her solo movie was way shittier than the Daredevil movie.
Yeah.
Which is just unfair, like from a movie fan perspective. Every time they make a female superhero film, it sucks. It sucks. Every time they make a female superhero film, it sucks. And it's not because female superheroes suck, it's that they don't put any care into the creation of the movie. They're just like, whatever.
They put
she's got boobs, they'll go see it. I'm like, no.
They put more care into.
Make a good movie out of it.
They put more care into the costume design of the characters.
I guess because Catwoman, Elektra, Supergirl, these are like terrible fucking movies.
Well, yeah, because those are all based solely off of the female attraction.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, look at the costumes alone.
The Catwoman one especially.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much. But it all.
But Elektra could if done right, could totally lead her own show.
Oh yeah.
And I have a feeling that Captain Marvel will probably be the first female-led superhero movie that actually is good. And I forget if Captain Marvel's coming out before Wonder Woman. It's sort of close. I think they're like around the same year or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that should be interesting. So okay. Now we've seen the first couple episodes of Daredevil. Where do you want to see the show go? Like in the next 11 episodes?
Well, if he hasn't gotten vengeance on that Sweeney guy, then I feel like it would focus more on that. And then have like the Fisk thing evolve as the story goes on, and them wanting to know who this Daredevil guy is. If that's not the case, and the Sweeney guy maybe that was the first guy he took out or something, because that's the one that was behind his father's death.
Right.
Then it would probably be just behind him clashing with Fisk without Fisk actually being involved.
I wonder how long it's going to be until we actually meet him. I can't imagine it won't be like in the next episode or two.
I feel like it might be till
3, maybe the end of 3
I
or
would
4.
say maybe like 5.
We'll see.
I would say 5, or maybe later.
We're definitely, though, in case you can't tell, we're definitely intrigued by this show. We definitely are down for more. In fact, if we didn't have to record this podcast, we probably would have been watching another one or two.
Yeah. Well, what do you think the show would be going?
I think it's going to build, probably knowing Marvel's tendency to want to like take chances and have something big happen at the end of every project. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of it Fisk is unmasked as the Kingpin.
Yeah.
Maybe not sent away, maybe not,
I don't think he'd get
defeated necessarily,
Yeah,
but I think people will know that he's who is the Kingpin. That
he won't be shrouded in mystery anymore.
Right.
His face
sort
will
of
be
like
exposed to
this
the
is
world.
weird. It's my second Lois and Clark reference on this podcast, but it's weird. It sort of reminds me a little bit of like the season finale of the first season of Lois and Clark, where Lex Luthor this whole time has been sort of two-faced, where he's not Harvey Dent style, but like two-faced, whereas he's this philanthropist to the people, but Superman knows that he's this criminal mastermind type deal, and it's just about making that public, and that happens at the last episode. I can sort of see something like that happening by the end of Daredevil season 1. But I mean, if it doesn't, then hey, Marvel will surprise me again. So it wouldn't be the first time or the last, I'm sure. So we have this one, and then we have Jessica Jones, probably Luke Cage, and then Iron Fist, then the Defenders, where they all team up. What would you like to see, assuming that all these shows are successful, which considering Marvel's track record is probably pretty good.
The Defenders.
Let me finish my sentence.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
What would you like to see? What would you like to see Marvel concentrate on? What characters for Wave 2 of their Netflix series?
Of the Netflix series?
I mean, I think it's safe to assume some of these will get season 2 at some point. But you know that they're also going to want to bring in who else can we put on Netflix now?
If they don't do Deadpool in a movie.
Oh well, they were doing that.
They are doing the Deadpool.
Oh, it's being
movie?
shot,
Oh.
and that's a Fox property. That's not Marvel.
Yeah, I know, but they're now,
Well, they're working with Sony. They're not working with Fox, as far as we know yet.
Oh yeah, it's so.
Sony's just Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay, so Fox has
X-Men, everything X-Men,
everything.
and Fantastic Four.
And since he's a mutant, it's technically considered under X.
Right. And they're shooting that now, and it's supposedly going to be R-rated, and it sounds awesome. If you're not following Ryan Reynolds on Twitter, what the hell is that? On Twitter, he's been tweeting out really interesting, like fun, like set photos and like promotional stuff. So check that out. But
I'm glad that they took him back as.
I know, me too. He's perfect for that. He was good in that early part where he's Deadpool in the early beginning of X-Men Origins Wolverine before it got really terrible.
I think he was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, the rest of it was just all smoke and mirrors.
But you're right, Deadpool would have been a good fit for a Netflix show. But that's why I'm leaning towards. For me, I'm looking for 2 Marvel heroes that have been on the big screen before, but in less that sort of went out lamely. And I'm thinking Blade and Punisher, who are both perfect for this sort of tone, and who would also mesh well with Daredevil. But who have, like, the last Blade movie did not do well. The Blade TV show that they had on Spike, even though I like it, did not last very long. And I'm sure Marvel could handle the character better. And Punisher had 3 failed movies. 2 of which I've seen, and both of which are pretty terrible.
And he's a pretty good character.
I mean, I don't know why nobody can get Punisher right. I've said this a million times. He's not that hard a character to figure out. He's just, I mean,
it's not like Superman.
It's not like there's a big mythology. His family gets killed. He's pissed. He's kind of extreme when it comes to going after criminals. Go ahead, do it. Put the freaking T-shirt with the skull on him and a gun, and you're good.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so complicated to figure out. It really shouldn't be. So those would be 2 that I'd definitely be hoping to see. I mean, I'm sure there's other characters that I'm not familiar, because I didn't really know much about Jessica Jones until this news started coming in about that show. But But yeah, those two I'd like to see. And then I'm trying to think what else. I know Joss Whedon wanted to do a Runaways show. There's a comic book called The Runaways. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's another one that they maybe consider for a Netflix series, considering they are sort of taking chances with more obscure titles like Jessica Jones and stuff like that.
Now it's Defenders. It's just gonna be Jessica Jones, Daredevil,
Supposedly.
Luke Cage, Iron Fist, just them.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. I mean, you thinking they're gonna bring in your boy?
What, like
Strange?
Yeah, Strange. I'm hoping that they do.
Well, then,
but that would require probably more money than they want to.
I mean, they could definitely have him in there in a like
But
smaller capacity.
But I would think though, since I mean they're having Iron Fist, and he's a mythical superhero. Mystical superhero.
Thor is the mythical one.
Yeah, I'm tired. That they'd also have Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange is supposedly supposed to be buddies with Iron Fist and all this stuff, and they know each other. So you would think that they would be buddy in the Iron Fist, maybe like a season or something, or maybe through the Defenders or something.
Well,
like that.
Marvel has prided itself on the whole "it's all connected" mantra, so I would not be surprised if at some point Benedict Cumberbatch shows up on here to sort of lead fans of these Netflix shows into the Doctor Strange movie and help build hype for that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him. But so far, we're very impressed with Daredevil. Looking forward to seeing more, and yeah, it should be really cool.
And it wouldn't be as difficult to get him on the Netflix show
like Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, or Chris Hemsworth, or one of the bigger names.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't think that they'll have him in the the Civil War storyline thing?
Doctor Strange?
No, Daredevil.
I mean, I'd like to see him in there somewhere. There's no reason that if they get the script right, they can't work in even if it's a cameo, something from him. Because I mean, obviously, most of the story is going to be Cap versus Iron Man.
Yeah, but
and they already have a lot of other supporting people.
Daredevil has he has a storyline too in the thing. So maybe they might incorporate him in some capacity. Because
have you read the Civil War, all the whole comic thing, or some of it?
I read parts of it.
Yeah.
I haven't read the whole thing. Just because I was going to read it, but then I didn't want to ruin it for myself if they made a movie of it.
Right.
And I know what happens at the end.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I'm pretty sure that's going to happen.
Ruin the stuff that happens, in the middle of it. So.
Right. Well, it would be cool if they have this whole Spider-Man unmasking scene in there, but I don't think they're going to do that because they're trying to get a new Spider-Man franchise started. That would sort of kill it a little. But so anyway, Daredevil, big four thumbs up, I guess. So we'll keep you guys posted on that as we watch more of them. But I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Crooked Table,
and I am at Freddy with a Y _Yanez, YANIZ.
Of course, you can read all our articles on crookedtable.com, find us on Facebook, etc., etc. Let us know what you think about the podcast, about the website, anything you want to hear us talk about. We'll be more than happy to oblige. So, catch you guys next time, and roll credits. Alright, here we are with our encore segment. For those of you who haven't listened to this before, shame on you.
Shame on you.
Wow, busting out the scary voice. So, this is the section where we both tell you guys about something that we recently discovered that's not Snoop Dogg music from 25 years ago. Well, I just recently okay, obviously I knew who Snoop Dogg was from 9 years ago, and I know Gin and Juice, that kind of thing. So I recently checked out the complete Doggy Style album, his first album from 1993, and it's actually really good. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. I feel like it's probably like the peak of his career was for
You know,
really good.
it's such a coincidence that you mentioned Snoop Dogg because I was gonna say like Kiss or something. Like
Kiss is still touring.
I've just been getting into Kiss. That Gene Simmons is incredible.
He's a sexy man.
Like,
okay, all right. Take it
did
easy.
you see how? I mean, this is
no, I wasn't. I wasn't. I'm not gonna. It's not my official encore.
I know,
I'm just saying.
But the encore segment is supposed to be something that people could be like, "Oh, I didn't know about that. Let me check it out."
You didn't. You didn't know about Snoop Dogg.
I'm pretty sure they know who Snoop Dogg is.
You know who else I've been listening to? Missy Elliott. You know about Missy Elliott?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, some people probably don't because when she was in the Super Bowl, people were like, "Who's this chick?" Trying to ride on Katy Perry's coattails. A person who's been like probably Grammy win. I don't know if she's won Grammy. Sure.
Yeah. I told you they thought that.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
They copied Nicki Minaj.
What now? Anyway, my encore. Okay, we've been silly. We could be silly. Take it easy. My encore thing is a YouTube channel called Couch Tomato that I recently came across, and they only have a few videos posted so far, but they're basically pointing out 24 reasons why X movie and Y movie are the same. And they run through and compare, like, there's ones in there about why Passion of the Christ and Man of Steel are the same movie, why The Matrix and the Lego movie are the same movie, why the most recent one was X-Men Days of Future Past and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And it really sort of points out, like, a little bit of the framework behind these movies and how similar they really are. And it's making me sort of figure out a little bit more what attracts me to these movies, because when especially the Days of Future Past one, because that explains a lot more why that film worked for me so much. It essentially is Terminator 2 on a lot of levels. So that's definitely cool, and it's the one that I can see really growing in the months to come, and I feel like our listeners should sort of have a leg up on that.
Yeah, well, a lot of movies have similar templates.
Yeah, of course, but they're very specific. Their reasons are very specific.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because Superman, the Man of Steel,
that one,
is placed. It has a lot of religious references.
Yeah, but The Matrix and the Lego movie, why are those the same movie?
Because it's an outsider going into
a
world that's being open to. No.
Yeah,
but it's a completely different. It's in a completely different way. Because this is the chosen one. Well, having his eyes open to a whole other world.
That's
supposed to be the best one of all.
That's a Joseph Campbell
alternate reality.
Okay, that's a Joseph Campbell storytelling archetype that you can also use to include Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, pretty much everything ever made ever.
Yeah, Inception.
Yeah, but these are more specific, some of them. Plus it's just entertaining in addition to that.
Well, they just took these two specific ones out of that use that template because they were the most similar.
They are the most similar.
Of the ones in the template, but it's still a template. Just like you can compare it to Inception if you want.
Well, it makes it apparent how like blatant the templates are.
Yeah,
and it puts it in an interesting way where it's like Days of Future Past, Terminator 2, like metal guy goes back in time, like, oh fuck, they both are metal, that's right. To stop this person from killing this little person, and I'm like, oh shit, that little Eddie Furlong and Peter Dinklage are both really tiny people. That's true. Damn, things like that are really kind of interesting. I would check it out. It's cool. I find it interesting.
So they compared a little person to a kid.
Well, they're both short people.
Oh, so now you're going to be offensive. So the little person can be...
They're short. They're people of a certain height.
I'm just kidding. Alright, my encore segment thing is just a single YouTube video. Some of you may already know what this video is if you watch Seth Meyers, the late night show with Seth Meyers, I think it's called.
Is it on NBC?
Yes.
Late night. It used to be Late Night with Conan O'Brien, right?
No, I think that's Jimmy Fallon.
No.
Jimmy Fallon took Conan O'Brien's spot.
I know. No, Jimmy Fallon took Conan O'Brien's Tonight Show. Jimmy Fallon's on the Tonight Show.
Whatever.
Trust
dude.
me, were you watching talk shows
It's
in the
Seth
90s?
Myers, man. It's Seth Myers.
I don't even know.
So whatever
really
show it is with
sort of
Seth
90s.
Myers with night in the title.
Late night, okay.
Probably. The encore segment that I am picking is a YouTube video that they used with Jon Snow, and basically it's Seth Meyers friends with Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. He's taking him to a dinner party with friends, and pretty much it just shows his personality clashing with in social society.
Oh, I've heard about this.
So it's a really funny video, and especially if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you'll enjoy it because there's a lot of Game of Thrones references that he puts in there. So I suggest you check that out because it is a hoot.
Unless you're like me and you've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones, at which point don't bother because you probably won't get it. That's why I didn't watch it.
Well, it probably is still funny, but
I guess I know so little about that show other than Westeros, Joffrey, a lot of dead people, Peter Dinklage being awesome. That's pretty. I just told you everything I know about Game of Thrones.
I mean that's a lot though.
I guess that's all the gist of it is what it is.
All right. Well, that concludes the encore segment.
Why are you so formal? Peace out, suckers. All right.
See you then.
See you later.
This has been a production of crookedtable.com. All rights reserved.
The Yard of the Little KED.